Hi, a very good evening, all of you. Welcome to our weekend live session. So usually we conduct sessions till Friday, but since you have been requesting for additional sessions as the exam is approaching, so we're going to conduct this live interaction where we'll discuss some images, as you can see in the title, from the subject general path. Okay, it's not oral path. We'll deal with oral path again in another session. So in today's live session, we'll share some specimens related to various pathologies which you all come across in your undergraduation, second year general path. And we'll try to identify those specimens and in the process, review some relevant literature from standard textbooks like Harsh Mohan, including Robbins, right? So I hope you guys are all ready. And apologies for the delay. And there has been some technical issue and with the previous stream and we lost power. So I had to take some additional time to check out all the connections and hopefully the session goes on uninterrupted. So do confirm the audio and video streaming. And if you have any issues, do let me know in the comment section. A very good evening, everyone. Hi, Vikas, Payal, Sai Rajat, Rakesh, and others. A very good evening to you. So let's go ahead without much delay. So, as I said, we'll be going ahead with image-based patients discussion from general path. And before we start, an update regarding our courses. So we're launching new courses towards NEET MDS 2022, that is crash course, with a new granted schedule starting from February. And also we have another one-year batch towards NEET MDS 2023 with a new schedule starting from Feb 2022, Mission 12 batch towards NEET MDS 2023. And you can find all the details on our website, ptbdacademy.com, or you can contact us through mail at proudtobedentist@gmail.com. And we'll start with this amazing, inspiring quote by Walt Disney. All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Isn't it right? So all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Unfortunately, there are so many reasons why each one cite as to why they're not pursuing their dreams, even though they dream big. They dream themselves to be in a particular position, either personally or professionally. But it's only because of lack of courage to pursue them that majority of humans are not able to pursue their dreams just because of lack of courage. And yes, we do have so many reasons, but ultimately in our one life, reasons don't matter, only results do, right? So all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them, regardless of the reasons or circumstances we are in. So with this inspiring quote, let's go ahead with our image-based discussion. So first and foremost, identify this specimen. I'll give you some input. So top left is the pathological specimen and bottom right. So this is a normal specimen. So we can identify that these are kidneys. So you can see a normal kidney, how it is appearing. And also you can see that there is this pathological specimen, right? So on top left. So let me review some information regarding this. It has something to do with amyloidosis. So if you observe both the specimens, you can clearly make out that in case of the pathological specimen, you can see the highlighted arrow as given in Harsh Mohan. There is loss in the demarcation between cortex and medulla, which is evident in a normal kidney specimen. So here it is lost. Kidneys seem to be smaller, shrunken, or even enlarged, depending upon the myelin deposit. And most importantly, you can see paleness in color, right? So what you're finding here is amyloidosis of kidney, and kidney appears small in this particular context, in this particular specimen given in Harsh Mohan, and it is pale in color. So for sake of comparison, I place this normal anatomy, the section anatomy of your kidney as well. So you can compare while I'm describing you the specimen so that it will be easy for you to understand, retain, and recollect. So amyloidosis of kidney. So kidneys are small, pale in color as clearly evident here. And section surface shows loss of corticomedullary demarcation or distinction, right? So there is no demarcation or distinction between the cortex and medulla, which is evident in this normal specimen. And also it has pale waxy translucency, this particular area, right? So this is amyloidosis of kidney. And I can give you some additional information regarding amyloidosis, but it would take more time. So I reckon we can skip it. Or in brief, I can give you some information less than 2 minutes. So as you know, amyloidosis is a group of diseases characterized by extracellular deposition of fibrillar proteinaceous substance called amyloid, having common morphological appearance, staining properties, and physical structure, but with a variable protein or composition, as you've already gone through in your undergraduation. So first described by Rokitansky, the substance was subsequently named by Virchow. You'll come across the scientist Virchow n number of times in general path. He termed it as amyloid under the mistaken belief that it was a starch-like material, but not. It is a proteinaceous material, as we have just discussed. So let's go through the gross anatomy describing the amyloidosis of kidney. So kidneys may be normal sized, enlarged or terminally contracted due to ischemic effect of narrowing of vascular lumina because of deposition of this amyloid-like material. Cut surface is pale, waxy, and translucent, as you can see. So let's skip this part, okay? Yeah. Beta 2 microglobulin. Hi, Vinita. Yes. Now, let's move on to the next specimen. Before that, you can see those who want to make a note, you can make a note of additional points along with the diagnosis, right? Amyloidosis of kidney, small pale in color, a loss of distinction between cortex and medulla with pale waxy translucency. That's the description you can give. And along with that, in exam, you'll have a context which definitely enables you to answer the question even more easily. Now, observe this second illustration or second image. So on top right, I have placed this sabudana grains. So in Telugu, we call them as sagubiyam. Sabudana in Hindi, if I'm not wrong. So these are also called as sago grains in English. So what is this appearance? Again, in case of amyloidosis of spleen, you have these two appearances. Sago spleen and the other kind of spleen, which we'll discuss in the next slide. So what do you call this appearance? In fact, I've given you all the hints. So cut surface showing characteristic translucent, pale and waxy nodules. As you can see, resembling sago grains. You can find sago grains, top right, and this bottom right is your normal anatomy, normal appearance of your spleen, just for sake of comparison, okay? So in this pathological specimen, you can clearly see that the cut surface showing characteristic translucent, pale, waxy nodules resembling sago grains. So it is called as sago spleen. So let me review some information related to sago spleen. So sago spleen, by the way, bottom right is a normal spleen, okay, just for sake of comparison. So splenomegaly is not marked in case of sago spleen. And the cut surface shows translucent, pale, waxy nodules resembling sago grains, hence the name sago spleen. Microscopically, amyloid deposits begin in the walls of arterioles of white pulp and may subsequently replace the follicles, hence this characteristic appearance. That's it. So sago spleen, and then the other kind of spleen. Yeah, so as you can see, sago spleen, you can make a note of it. The other kind of spleen, again, left is a pathological specimen, right bottom is a normal specimen, and right top is your fat, lard, right, which is consumed by some. So it has this fat-like appearance, pale, again enlarged. So what is this appearance called? Again, it also falls under amyloidosis of spleen. We have sago spleen, and this falls under. Yeah, let me give you a description. Sectioned surface showing presence of pale, waxy translucency in a map-like pattern, right? So this is nothing but your lard. So you can find lard here, which is pale in color. So lard-like appearance, lardaceous spleen. And for sake of comparison, you can see the color variation, right? So that's the reason why this specimen, we're considering that as pale comparatively. So lardaceous spleen as, yeah, all of this. Sorry, CVC spleen, we'll get back to that. Yeah, so this is related to amyloid deposition, okay? So lardaceous spleen, sectioned surface showing presence of pale waxy translucency in a map-like pattern, right? So before we move on to the next slide, I just want to give you a summary. So far you have seen amyloidosis of kidney, right? So this is all related to amyloidosis. And then amyloidosis of spleen, sagospleen, and then amyloidosis of spleen. The next stage is your lardaceous spleen. And let me give you some additional information regarding this lardaceous spleen. There is generally moderate to marked splenomegaly, which is absent in case of sagospleen, but in lardaceous spleen, you can see enlarged spleen. It weighs up to 1 kg. The cut surface of spleen shows map-like areas of amyloid, lardaceous or lard-like. Lard means the fat of pigs, derived from pigs, okay? So I hope it's clear. Now, observe this illustration. The left one is a pathology and the right one is a normal appearance of a liver. You can see 2 lobes, 2 conspicuous lobes, left and right. So this is appearance of liver, left and right. Left is something related to pathology. You can see a pale yellow color and the borders seem to be rounded. So what is this pathological specimen? So pale yellow with rounded borders on the left side. And for sake of comparison, I've given you the right illustration as well. This is from one of the PubMed indexed articles. So what are we talking about in this particular context? So I'll give you a gross appearance literature review. So liver in this particular pathology is enlarged with a tense, glistening capsule and rounded margins. So you can see rounded margins compared to the normal one, right? The cut surface bulges slightly and is pale yellow to yellow and is greasy in touch. So that's the description which you can make a note of. And as majority of you, I think Sai Rajat and Vinita have identified this very good. So this is a case of fatty liver. You can make a note of it, okay? Good. Now, let's see how many of you are going to answer this right. So top right, what you're finding there is nothing but your nutmegs. Nutmegs are nothing but spices obtained. They are seeds of a spice tree which are used as spice while cooking. So nutmeg, I've given you the hint or I've given you the answer. So identify this particular pathology. So it's a liver. It's a specimen of a liver. And I've given you nutmegs on the right illustration of the right part of this, the right part of your screen. So identify this pathology. In fact, one of you was mentioning previously about CVC, chronic venous congestion. So what is the pathology we're talking about? I've given you the liver. I said it's liver and I said those are nutmegs. So you got the answer, right? So nutmeg liver, the cut surface shows mottled appearance, that is dark and light areas as you can see. So alternate pattern of dark congestion and pale fatty change giving this nutmeg appearance. So you can also see the nutmegs, the seeds, how they are dark and white, mottled appearance. So generally, gross picture in nutmeg liver, that is chronic venous congestion of liver, as you all rightly mentioned. Yeah, liver is enlarged and tender and the capsule is dense. Cut surface shows characteristic nutmeg appearance due to red and yellow mottled appearance, corresponding to the congested center of lobules and fatty peripheral zone respectively, right? So this is a case of chronic venous congestion of liver. So nutmegs, just keep that in mind. So it is linked up to CVC liver. Now, this is your spleen. So I'll reveal the answer and I'll give you the description. Again, CVC spleen. The spleen in early stage is slightly to moderately enlarged, while in long-standing cases, there can be gradual enlargement. So it has this gray tan appearance, and it is greatly enlarged in long-standing cases, as mentioned in Harshmohan. The organ is deeply congested, tense, and cyanotic. Cut surface is gray tan. You can just make a note of this point related to the description of this gross appearance of congestive splenomegaly in case of CVC spleen. Okay, right. Now, let's see how many of you are going to identify this. It's a case of, in fact, there was one of the previous entrance questions from this particular topic. Malignant nephropathy is a diagnosis, and it has this characteristic appearance. So you can also see a horse on the right part of the illustration, which is flea bitten. So we have fleas which are which don't have flight. There are so many species belonging to arthropod family. So flea bitten horse is what you find on the right illustration. It's considered to be acidic, and I heard that it's more costly comparatively. So this is a kidney with a flea bitten appearance. Yeah, so I've given you all the hints. So try identifying now. So flea bitten appearance in case of malignant nephrosclerosis. So I'll give you the description now. So kidney is enlarged in size comparatively, and also you can see that it is pale, and you can also find these tiny spots, that is flea bitten appearance, which are nothing but petechial hemorrhages in case of malignant nephrosclerosis. So you can just make a note of that point. The appearance of kidney varies in case of malignant hypertension. Superimposed on pre-existing benign nephrosclerosis, the kidneys are small in size, shrunken and reduced in weight, and have finely granular surface. However, the kidneys of a patient who develops a malignant hypertension in pure form are enlarged, edematous, and have petechial hemorrhages. As you can see, these dark spots, right? So those represent your petechial hemorrhages on the surface, producing the so-called flea-bitten appearance. The cut surface shows red and yellow mottled appearance. So you can just make a note of this point. Take-home message is flea-bitten kidney appearance or flea-bitten appearance in case of malignant nephrosclerosis, but not in case of benign nephrosclerosis. And flea-bitten appearance because of this petechial hemorrhages. You can just make a note of this point. Very good. Malignant hypertension. Even this was asked in one of the previous entrances, right? Now, let's move on to the next question. Next image or illustration, and let's see how many of you are going to identify this. So it's relatively easy. You can find dark area. It's very dark, and it is clearly demarcated from the normal tissue, right? So it's considered to be dry, and also it gives that appearance of dryness. So dry, shrunken, dark, separated from viable tissue by clear line of separation. So that's a description for this particular illustration. Can be seen as a complication in hypertensive patients, or even most commonly in diabetes patients. So what are we talking about? So again, I'll give you a description. So as you can see, it is dry, shrunken comparatively, and it is dark and separated from the normal viable tissue, and this separation is clear cut. There is a clear line of separation. So it is a case of dry gangrene, as you all rightly mentioned. So the affected part is dry, shrunken, dark black, resembling the foot of a mummy. It's black because of liberation of hemoglobin from hemolyzed red blood cells, which is acted upon by hydrogen sulfide, which is produced by bacteria, resulting in formation of black iron sulfide, giving this typical dark black appearance. The line of separation usually brings about complete separation with eventual cutting off or falling off of the gangrenous tissue if it is not removed surgically, right? So that's the description you have, the morphological feature you have related to dry gangrene, as you rightly mentioned. Yeah, very good. Now let's see how many of you are going to identify this. Again, you can see dark areas. There is no clear line of demarcation between these dark areas. So this entire area seems to be affected. And also it seems edematous, swollen, glistening appearance. So what are we talking about? So affected part is soft, swollen, dark line of demarcation between the affected part and the viable tissue is not clear cut. Yeah. What are we talking about? Yeah. So let me give you an elaborate description regarding this. Gross appearance, the affected part is swollen, soft, putrid, rotten, and dark. The classic example, there are so many examples mentioned. The classic example is a gangrene of bowel. This is a case of wet gangrene. Commonly due to strangulated hernia, volvulus, intussusception, etc. The part is stained dark due to same mechanism as in dry gangrene. So bacterial, hemoglobin interaction, hydrogen sulfide, dark appearance as we discussed prior, right? So it's black due to liberation of hemoglobin from hemolyzed red blood cells, which is acted upon by hydrogen sulfide produced by bacteria, resulting in formation of black iron sulfide. So consider this point very, very important. So what you're saying here is a case of wet gangrene. Yeah, very good. Now let's see how many of you are going to identify this particular case. So I'll give you some description regarding this. You can, if you carefully observe, you can find various nodules which are smaller in dimension. So grossly, there is diffuse presence of nodules. So this is a cut section of a liver. Can be seen in alcoholics. So that's the hint which I can give you. So what do you think is more appropriate answer, which describes this particular condition? So as you can see, we have various nodules, micronodular pattern in this specimen with a diffusion throughout the cut section. And these nodules are less than 3 mm in diameter. If they are more than 3 mm, the criteria changes, which we'll discuss now. So it's a case of cirrhosis, very good, alcoholic cirrhosis. The liver being large, fatty, and weighing usually about 2 kgs. Eventually, over a span of years, the liver shrinks to less than 1 kg in weight, becomes non-fatty, having macronodular cirrhosis. Usually, remember that alcoholic cirrhosis begins as micronodular cirrhosis, as in this case, where the nodules are less than 3 mm in diameter. But as the situation progresses and deteriorates, there will be macronodular cirrhosis, where the dimension of each nodule will be more than or larger than 3 mm in diameter. Make a note of it. So the nodules of liver, due to their fat content, are tawny yellow, on the basis of which Lennox in 1818 introduced the term cirrhosis, first of all, where cirrhos or Greek kyros means tawny. The surface of liver in alcoholic cirrhosis is studded with diffuse nodules which vary little in size, producing hobnail liver, Hobnail, hobnail liver, right? So because of resemblance of surface with sole of an old-fashioned shoe having short nails with heavy heads. So this is called as hobnail liver appearance. You can make a note of it as well, right? So alcoholic cirrhosis. Now, this is your homework question. Again, a cut section of a liver, but in the center you can find an egg-like appearance, whitish wall, which has this hardness, or the consistency is similar to that of an egg white. And this is a kind of infection which mostly affects your liver, majority of the cases. And it's a parasitic infection. I'm giving you all the hints. It's a parasitic infection where the common definitive host is dog, and shared hosts include, shared intermediate hosts include man or humans, man or woman, dog, it's sheep and cattle. The common definitive host is your dog. whereas the intermediate hosts are humans, sheep, and cattle. So it's a parasitic infection. And what you're finding here is a cut section of a liver with this particular whitish eggshell-like appearance. As you can see, you have so many shells. So what are we talking about? So that's your homework question. And this is something which you might have heard of very commonly. Let's see how many of you are going to answer it right with all the given hints. So I hope it's clear. So this concludes our image-based discussion for today. So mostly, as I said, instead of posing or giving you options, just presenting you the images, and without options, I know it's definitely challenging, but in the process, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. That's the first criteria. And the second thing is, learning will be even more effective. In fact, giving you options would make one lazy. Without options, it's even more challenging to identify the given specimen, provided we have a context. We're not providing you any context here, but only we're giving you hints. But in entrance exam, you'll definitely have some context. It can be related to the pathological appearance. It can be related to the symptoms, the signs, and what can I say, the lab diagnosis, which we have seen previously, and it can be coupled with this image-based discussion. So we'll also try to have questions in those lines. But before that, it's very important that you're all familiar with various illustrations and images which are given in your textbooks, standard textbooks, including the legends or the information related to those images. So this gives you a kind of confidence, like how a particular pathology appears, especially when it comes to general path. We have so many specimens. You might have gone through those specimens live during your practicals, and even through images, you should be able to identify them. So you'll have a context which will make identifying them comparatively easy. Don't worry about that. So in this particular session, we have seen about amyloidosis of kidney, also spleen, sago-spleen and laudacious spleen, a case of fatty liver, how fatty liver appears, nutmeg liver, why we're calling it as nutmeg liver, congestive splenomegaly, CVC, right? CVC liver, CVC spleen, flea-bitten kidney in case of malignant hypertension, malignant nephrosclerosis, dry gangrene, a case of wet gangrene, and alcoholic cirrhosis, micronodular and macronodular cirrhosis, hobnail liver. So all of these terms you should be familiar with, so that whether they come in exam or not is secondary. Obviously, we had several questions previously, flea-bitten appearance, hobnail and all, cirrhosis, but this will greatly enhance your confidence. And even more interesting thing is it's always fun learning through these images or illustrations, right? I hope this session was useful, and in the upcoming sessions we'll deal with more image-based questions, images from various other subjects. In fact, although we still have fixed appliances, or we still have so many other clinical subjects, so in the coming days we'll try to incorporate as many subjects as possible, as many images as possible. Right? So I hope it's clear. So before I conclude, I would love to repeat the quote, as Walt Disney rightly said: all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. And also, I've been getting several emails from aspirants asking me about the rumors about NEET MDS 2022 postponement. Remember, it's true that a case has been filed in Madhya Pradesh. There was a news bulletin in regard to the same, and there is no official information yet. So we'll keep a tab on DCI official website, dciindia.gov.in, and NAT board website. And all I would suggest to you is don't fall prey to these rumors. It's these petitions or whatever information that you're coming across, they're not about cancellation of exam. Exam is going to be happening for sure, and there is no doubt in that. Whether it is March 6th or whether it is delayed, only time will answer. But as of now, given the information we have, it's better to assume that the exam is going to be as per the given schedule in your md.edu.in website, that is March 6th, 2022. Plan your preparation accordingly. And if in case if in case there is postponement, you'll have additional time. So if you have this perspective, if you have this approach, then you will never get carried away by any nonsensical rumor or information that's out there. So just focus on what best you can do from your side. And as I said, and let me repeat, if in case exam gets postponed, consider that as your additional time. I know it will be stressful, and it is already stressful as exam has already been delayed, but feeling stressed about the things which you cannot handle or which are not in your hands would definitely enhance your stress even to a greater level, to a point where it leads to breakdown, which is totally avoidable, right? So anyways, you can feel free to contact us through mail for assistance or guidance in this regard, including stress management protocol. We're always there for you. We are with you in this journey, right? So wish you all the best. Have a great weekend ahead. And if possible, we'll plan another morning session tomorrow. I'll get back with an update through your Telegram updates group and also through Google updates group. Wish you all the best. Love you all. Good night. Have a fantastic sleep and have a great weekend. I'm glad that some of you are already answering that homework question. Anyways, try reviewing literature and see if you can identify it more accurately and get back to mail for key and analysis from our side. Yeah, definitely. Prosto as well. Our FPD will definitely include and incorporate those topics. Also, we have oral path. We have still so many subjects. We just started some couple of sessions ago. Also, simultaneously, we'll be adding up case-based discussions, and also we'll try to integrate case-based with image-based discussions in the upcoming sessions. Yeah, your feedback is always welcome. Yeah, oral radiology, of course, yes. I really appreciate your enthusiasm. Yeah. Good night. Take care.